Congress has begun taking testimony from top officials who bore witness to President Donald Trump's desperate efforts to commandeer the Justice Department to overturn the 2020 election based upon lies and misinformation. 7 months after the January 6 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol, we continue to learn many new details of those, and related, efforts. Those details paint an increasingly clear picture of a concerted effort to lay a predicate for overturning or at least halting Congress's acceptance of the results, after Trump's claims repeatedly and overwhelmingly failed in courts of law. The effort included attempts to politically weaponize the Justice Department and apply pressure on federal, state and local officials in the service of that goal. The latest revelations: first, Justice Department officials rejected a highly unorthodox and far-flung effort by a Trump loyalist in their midst, Acting Assistant Attorney General Jeffrey Clark, to have Georgia's state legislature call a special session to potentially reverse Joe Biden's win there. And second, Trump told Justice Department officials around the same time, according to notes from former acting Deputy Attorney General Richard Donahue, to just say the election was corrupt plus leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman. Top DOJ officials rejected both ideas. Donahue and former acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen have both testified behind closed doors, as has former U.S. Attorney Byung-Jae Park. Though transcripts have yet to be released, given how many moving parts are involved, it can be difficult to keep track of. So below is a timeline we'll keep updating as we get new details. November 13, Senator Lindsey O. Graham, RSC, a Trump ally, calls Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and asks him whether he has the power to toss out all mail ballots in certain counties, according to Raffensperger. Raffensperger later calls it an attempt to exclude legally cast ballots. It sure looked like he was wanting to go down that road, Raffensperger recalled. November 17, Trump calls the two Republican canvassers in Detroit-based Wayne County, Mich. Shortly before they briefly rescind their votes to certify the election results. Separately, Trump fires the Department of Homeland Security's top official on election security, Christopher Krebs, after Krebs refuted his claims of a stolen election. November 19, Trump invites top Republican legislators from Michigan to meet with him at the White House, prompting them to state that they haven't seen anything to call into question their state's election results. November 30, Arizona Governor Doug Ducey apparently receives a call from the White House while on video certifying his state's election results, but ignores the call. December 1, Attorney General William P. Barr says in an interview that he has not seen fraud on a scale that could have effected a different outcome in the election. Barr later attends a previously scheduled meeting with White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows and is called to meet with Trump as well. Barr reiterates what he said in the interview, adding, according to a new book by The Washington Post's Carol D. Leonig and Philip Rucker, "We've looked into these things, and they're nonsense." Early December, Trump calls the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, Brian Cutler, twice to talk about overturning that state's results. Cutler informs Trump that the state legislature has no power to do so, according to an aide. December 5, Trump calls Georgia Governor Brian Kemp, to pressure him to get the legislature to overturn the state's election results. December 14, the Electoral College finalizes its votes, paving the way for Biden's election and sending them to Congress. Separately, Trump announces Barr will soon step down as Attorney General, putting Rosen in line to replace him on an acting basis. December 15, Trump hosts Rosen in the Oval Office and reportedly tells him he wants the Justice Department to file legal briefs supporting Trump allies' election lawsuits. Trump also urges Rosen to appoint special counsels to investigate his baseless claims, including ones involving voting machine company Dominion. Rosen refuses and reiterates what Barr said about the lack of evidence for such steps. In addition, Trump, who had recently become aware of Vice President Mike Pence's generally ceremonial role in presiding over Congress formalizing the Electoral College vote, decides Pence is his best chance to overturn the election. He tells allies to pressure Pence, and the topic will come up frequently in their conversations over the following 3 weeks. December 18, Trump and top aides meet with conspiracy theorist supporters, including Michael Flynn and Sidney Powell, who discuss a number of extreme measures to overturn the election results, including instituting martial law and seizing voting machines. December 22, Meadows visits Cobb County, Georgia, where the Georgia Secretary of State's office later says it prevented him from entering a room where signature audits were being conducted. During the visit, Meadows meets with Georgia's lead elections investigator, Frances Watson. December 23, Trump calls Watson and urges her to search hard for election fraud. When the right answer comes out, you'll be praised, Trump says in a recording of the call, adding, "You have the most important job in the country right now." Trump says he called at Meadows's request. Watson later says she was shocked the president was calling her but didn't feel pressured. Separately, Barr departs as Attorney General, elevating Rosen to Acting Attorney General. December 27, Trump calls Rosen and top Justice Department officials. According to Donahue's notes, Rosen pushes back on Trump's entreaties, saying the department can't plus won't snap its fingers plus change the outcome of the election. Trump responds that the department should just say the election was corrupt plus leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman, according to Donahue's notes. In the meeting, Trump also seems to threaten to replace Justice Department leaders. He says, per Donahue's notes, "People tell me, the acting head of the department's civil division, Jeff Clark is great, I should put him in. People want me to replace DOJ leadership." Dec. 28, Clark circulates a draft letter in which the Justice Department would urge Georgia's legislature to hold a special session based on supposed irregularities in the vote. The letter includes what amounts to a roadmap for Georgia to overturn its election results, suggesting the legislature might ultimately choose a new slate of electors, i.e., for Trump. Donahue rejects the idea out of hand, noting in his emailed response that the supposed irregularities the department was investigating are of such a small scale that they simply would not impact the outcome of the presidential election. He adds, "There is no chance that I would sign this letter or anything remotely like this," and says sending the letter is not even within the realm of possibility. Late December, Rosen, who has discovered Clark is engaging in unauthorized conversations with Trump, speaks with him about the matter and tells him not to do it again, according to Rosen's closed-door testimony. December 29, Trump aide Molly Michael emails Rosen, Donahue and another Justice Department official a draft of a potential Supreme Court filing that would involve the Justice Department challenging the election results in 6 key states. Michael says Trump asked her to send the draft. Separately, Meadows meets with Justice Department officials and mentions a baseless theory that a company in Italy combined with the CIA to rig the election. December 30, Meadows emails Rosen twice about theories about the election, including a translated letter from an Italian man with similar accusations involving advanced military encryption capabilities. Separately, Meadows aide Cassidy Hutchinson asks Georgia Deputy Secretary of State Jordan Fuchs in a phone call whether there is anything the White House could do to show appreciation for those conducting the state's audit, according to Reuters. December 31, Pence asks a judge to reject a lawsuit that aimed to expand his power to help overturn the election. Trump becomes livid. Jan. 1. Meadows emails Rosen several times with theories about the election. He forwards Rosen a YouTube video of a former intelligence official who also promoted the idea that the election was stolen using satellites in Italy. Rosen shares the email with Donahue, who responds, "Pure insanity." Rosen states that he has learned the man behind the video, Brad Johnson, was working with Trump attorney Rudolph W. Giuliani but that he had declined a requested meeting with Johnson. Shortly after the above email, Meadows again emails Rosen about signature matching anomalies in Fulton County, Georgia, and suggests Rosen have Clark, specifically, look into it. Rosen tells Donahue of the email, "Can you believe this? I am not going to respond to the message below." Donahue responds, apparently referring to the Italian satellites theory, "At least it's better than the last one, but that doesn't say much." Jan. 2. Trump speaks with Georgia's Raffensperger and urges him to find enough votes to call Biden's victory there into question. "All I want to do is this, I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have," Trump says in the recorded call. Biden won Georgia by 11,779 votes. Trump adds, "So what are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break." During the call, Trump also derides the U.S. attorney he appointed for the Northern District of Georgia, Byung J. B.J. Pak, saying, "You have your never-Trumper U.S. attorney there." Jan. 3. Trump, who was still entertaining a plan to oust Rosen as acting attorney general and install Clark, abandons the idea after a meeting with Justice Department officials who warned of mass, high-profile resignations if Trump pursued the scheme. After the meeting, Donahue sends an email to Pak saying, "Please call ASAP." In a later phone call, Donahue informs Pak that Trump is angry with Pak because Pak refused to support his claims of election fraud. Late that night, after the Post broke news of the Raffensperger call, the White House leaves a voicemail stating that Trump would like to speak with Clint Hickman, the then chairman of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors in Arizona. Hickman declines to return the call, believing he would be pressured, as Raffensperger was. January 4, Pak abruptly resigns. Pak later testified he had been told Trump intended to fire him because he had investigated voter fraud allegations in Fulton County, Georgia, but found nothing to back up Trump's allegations and refused to publicly support them. This leads Donahue to privately suggest that Pak resign. Trump bypasses Pak's top deputy, who would normally succeed Pak, appointing instead the U.S. attorney for Georgia's Southern District, Bobby L. Christine. Christine would later tell staff members that there's just nothing to the claims of fraud in the area. January 5, Trump angrily vents to Pence and aides about Pence's refusal to toe his line on rejecting electors. He also takes the effort public, tweeting, "The vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors." January 6, Trump speaks with Pence multiple times in the morning and presses his case on overturning the election. Pence continues to refuse, eventually releasing a statement saying he cannot do what he's being asked to do. In the early afternoon, the U.S. Capitol is overrun by Trump supporters seeking to overturn the election, shortly after speeches by Trump, Giuliani and other promoters of baseless claims that the election was stolen. During the riot, and as Congress still hadn't finished its business, Trump attacks Pence in a tweet. Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, Trump says. The tweet came shortly after Pence was evacuated amid the unrest, and apparently after Trump spoke with House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, R. Caliph, about the severity of the situation. Rioters were later revealed to have chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." Quote,